I don't know about y'all, but for me, it seemed like all week, every time I turned on the radio or, turned on the TV, there was some kind of crazy dating story. Somebody was talking about some kind of crazy date that they had. On the radio, they were talking to a guy, and the young guy, he said he wasn't going on a second date because the girl had on too much makeup, right? And I'm like, okay, too much makeup is a deal breaker. Now, he didn't say anything else bad about the girl, but she had on too much makeup, so that was a deal breaker. There was a separate show when there was a 50-year-old woman talking about she wasn't going on a second date because the guy dressed corny. I don't even know what corny mean at 50. I'm knocking on 50 door. I don't know what that means. Clearly she does. But she said that was a deal breaker for her. She didn't said all these nice things about the guy, but she wasn't going on a second date. So I said, you know what, I gotta do a podcast about that, because I hear people moaning and complaining about there's not good men out there, there's no good women out there, to date. But these are people's criteria. Too much makeup, don't like the way you dress. So I said, let me do my podcast. And for matter of fact, I'm gonna name my first podcast. It's Scarce in these streets. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my fine people. You are now rocking with the Unapologetic Relationship Podcast with your host, Jay Riggins, and is brought to you by the good folks at the Podpire Network. I am the author of the amazing book, What a Man Really Wants to Say About Relationships, Revised and Unapologetic. And we back. And we back. Welcome back, people. Glad you came back after the break. We're gonna be talking about some real deep stuff. So I'm glad you tuned back in. So before the break, I was talking about a lady on the radio. They were talking to her, I think it was XM radio I was listening to in the car. And they were asking her about her first date. She had one on a date. And they were saying, hey, how did it go? And she said, oh, he was nice, he was handsome, he was tall. Pretty much everything she wanted. And they were like, great. When you guys going out again? And she said, oh, we're not. And the people on the radio were kind of, they kind of paused. It was kind of confused. And they were like, you're not going out again? She was like, no, because I didn't like the way he dressed. He dressed corny. And there was a long pause on the radio, just like I was pausing in my car. Because I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's going to say something else, whatever. Maybe he married. Didn't, she found out he married or something. I don't know. But no, that's all she said. She said that he dressed corny. So the people on the radio were kind of like, so was that a deal breaker? You're not gonna give him another chance? And she was like, no, I just don't like the way he dressed. And so the people on the radio, they were trying to get to the meat and the sauce of the deal. So they said, how old are you, ma'am? And she said, I'm 50. And there was another long pause. And so did I. Because they're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. At 50, first of all, what is dressing corny at 50? You know what I'm saying? Is it a suit and tie? Is it, did he have on pajamas? I don't understand what dressing corny at 50 is. And I'm knocking on 50's door, but I can't say I'm a kind of dapper dresser. I mean, I'm a little snazzy dresser if I do say so. But I don't know what corny is. Some people might think I'm corny. I don't know. I'm a comfortable type of person. I like jeans, polos. I'll rock a tee in a minute. Some sweats. But my stuff is going to all be clean and it's going to be fly. So, because I'm not a suit person, people might say I'm corny. I don't know. But what is the definition of corny at 50? If I have all the qualities, I'm a gentleman, I'm opening the car door, I'm pulling out your chair at the restaurant, I'm paying for it, I ain't asking you for a dime, paying for the meal. I think she said that she had kids and she had grandkids. He said, okay, cool. He didn't say anything about, she got grandkids, it's going to be a problem. Everything she said, he was like, cool, bet. He was interested. And she was excited. She said, when she was talking till she got to the corny dressing part, She was talking like the date was incredible because it sounded incredible to me. And I'm sure it sounded incredible to those people on the radio that were interviewing her. So my thing is, this is a question I'm going to pose to you people. I'm just going to put it out there. I ain't going to beat around the bush. At what age is old enough or too old to be making crazy decisions like this guy dresses corny, so I'm not going to date him? Let me say this again. At what age are we being too trivial about silly stuff that shouldn't matter in a relationship? 50, 60, 70? 50 to me is too old. 70, first of all, let's just be clear. A lot of people not even dating it. It's at age 70. But 50 to me is definitely too old to be that picky, right? He dresses corny. I've had a guy, a friend of mine, old friend of mine. He was telling me about his date. He said the girl was pretty, she dressed nice, smelled good, had all his assets, big booty, big chest, that was his preferences. Don't judge me. But he said, now listen, he said she had fat fingers.
Yeah, I'm still here.
She had fat fingers. He said that was a deal breaker. He said that, everything was nice. She's very pretty. Pretty hair, pretty smile. He said when he looked down at her hands, her fingers was fat. And he ain't like that. It's a deal breaker. Yeah. These are things that really go on. Or I've heard people say, oh, he's too short. Girl, I ain't like his shoes. What? No one is talking about real deal breakers. No one is talking about, okay, this person is abusive. He this, he that. He's a stalker. And, I caught him peeking out my window a couple times and, what I'm saying, outside my window. Ain't nobody talking about none of this stuff. They talking about he dressed corny, her fingers is fat. And my homeboy, he's since been married, so I give him that. I give him that pass. He was married. That was some old stuff that he went through, but he still said it. Still said her fingers was fat, so it was a deal breaker. But it just seems for me today, every time I turn on the TV, every time I turn on the radio, watching the movie, whatever, there's some crazy foolishness going on with these relationships. What are people's expectations in these relationships? You know what I'm saying? Like everybody wants a guy in shining armor, a knight in shining armor, or whatever it is. But one little thing is a deal breaker. I know I have a friend of mine who says she didn't like a guy because he had a gap in his mouth. He had money, was spoiling her, buying her whatever she wanted. They were going on trips. But she said every time he smiled, it was just like, I can do better. And I'm so what? And I'm not just gonna pick on the women because like I said, my friend, my guy friend says she had fat fingers. So it's not just a woman thing, but it just seems like I'm always around women when they're saying stuff like this. It just seems like it's the majority of women that I'm around. I'm not gonna say that this is the case. I don't want y'all women beating me up, but when you start hearing women talk to other women, girl, blah blah blah, and they're talking about guys cheating on them, and they talking about this and they talking about that. Girl, I can't win for losing. I found another loser. I found, what I'm saying? He a deadbeat. He don't even take care of his kids and blah, blah, blah. But then on the other hand, you hear a woman in her 50s talking about he dresses corny. I don't even know what corny is. Corny dressing at 50. I'm almost 50. I don't know what corny is. My wife don't tell me I dress corny. We've been married for 20 years. I ain't never heard her say I dress corny. There might be some things that she don't like. But at 50, it's like, next? That's the only problem you got at 50? And especially with the scarcity. That's what this podcast is called. It's scarce out in these streets. That's why I named it the name I did. It's scarce out in these streets. People, this is 2022. Okay? Get it together. I know we all have lists and we have just things that we're not going to put up with. Can't do this. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's just certain things that we're not, just deal breakers. For me, I'm going to be honest with you. I said I was not going to date anyone or marry anyone with kids. I said I wasn't going to do the long distance thing. I did both. You know why I did both? Because this person was that important for me to throw all that other trivial stuff out the window. It wasn't that serious. And I get it. You know, people, like I said, everybody's not the same. I can expect everyone to do what I did. But I know for a fact I will be kicking myself if I didn't marry my wife. And I was dealing with somebody else because of those two things. You know what I'm saying? That end up being crazy and taking all the money out the banking account and then run it off with Lupe to Costa Rica. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I married who I married. And I felt like a bigger man by saying, hey, she got kids. Okay. Is she nice? Is the kid nice? You know what I'm saying? Is it a good fit for me? Yes, it was. Not saying that we don't have our share of our problems or had our share of our problems, but it wasn't a deal breaker. And like I said, I'll hit 20 years this coming July. And of course, marriage is going to be hard. It's not easy. It's not easy to be with the same person, to wake up and see the same person, deal with the same person every day. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I was single. So this is my second marriage, right? I was married when I was 18. Yeah, I know.
Don't judge me.
So I was, like I said, I was married when I was 18, got divorced, and I had about 21 was when I got divorced. And I had about a 5-year span of dating. And I was in a dating scene. I was, stationed at Warner Robins Air Force Base, and I was out there. I ain't trying to brag or whatever, but they used to call me the Mayor of Warner Robins. That's a fact. You can ask somebody about that. But anyway, I'll put it this way. I was dating a lot of women. And it was cool at the moment. And then, it got to the point because, I was in my early 20s. So at this point, I was probably about 25 or 26, right? Because I've been in the streets for about 4 or 5 years. And then it just seemed like, okay, it was wearing off. It was like, you get a new toy or new car, new whatever. And then after you've had it for a while, you don't have the same feeling. That's how I felt about being single, right? I had did it for so long, but I wasn't really that happy. You know what I'm saying? People that's not in your shoes, and because they say, oh, he getting women. You know what I'm saying? He getting women. He with a different woman every week. Outside looking in, it seems cool. But at the end of the day, if this ain't somebody that I want to spend the rest of my life with, it is what it is. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be in a relationship. Trust me, people. I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying? My mom passed away single. When she up until the end, she was like, I'm not even dealing with no man. You know what I'm saying? On purpose. Like, I'm not even looking for no man. I don't want to deal with no man. I got everything I need. On purpose. She wasn't looking for nobody. So I get it. Everybody not supposed to have somebody and be married and all that other stuff. But for me personally, I remember like going to the clubs and, in between my little escapades, whatever. I was going to the club by myself and, me and the fellas or whoever. And then, by the end of the night, club, the DJ going to play his last record, last call at the bar. And you got to go home. So I'm looking at everybody that's going home with somebody or going to the Waffle House, you know what I'm saying? Or going to Crystal. Shout out to Warner Robins, Mactown, Georgia. They had their boo, whether it was for the night or forever. They had somebody. And I'm sitting around there looking like, not that I couldn't probably get picked up nobody that night, but it was just like I was just there to have a good time. And at this point, I was just tired of dealing with this person and that person, a new person next week and a new person that week. So I was just like, okay, I'm sitting at the club when it's closing down with all the rest of the miserable single people. And I don't know if they was all miserable, but I know I was, because I'm like, dang, I ain't even got nobody to go to the Waffle House with. I ain't even got a date to get them scattered and covered with. You know what I'm saying? So, it's to the point now. I'm looking at the cleaning ladies that's cleaning up the club. Like I'm going home with somebody. The people that's cleaning up the club after the club shut down start looking good to me. But my point is, like I said, it wore for me. That single life, it just wasn't my thing. And I'm not saying that's everybody has to be in a relationship. Like I said, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that shouldn't we put away foolish things when it comes to relationship, like dressing corny? That seems foolish to me. Having fat fingers, that seems foolish to me. This person might have a heart of gold, but it's that one little thing that's the deal breaker. And at age 50 is not the new 40, people. I know they say it in the rap songs. I know they say it on TV and all of that. 50 is not the new 40. 40 is not the new 30. I understand. I get it. Some, I ain't gonna tell you my wife's age, but every time we go to the carnival and little people try to guess her age, they lose. She looks 30. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. You feel how you feel, whatever. But all I'm saying is at the age 50, how much longer do you got to run the streets at 50? You gonna use that corny dress and roll till you're 70? That what you gonna do? Because here's the thing about it. Like I said, if you don't look 50, you don't feel 50, the rest of the world looking at you like you 50. When you get them AARP cards and magazines in the mail, you're gonna realize you 50. Man, when you had to start going to get those colonoscopies, you're gonna realize what age you are. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. We might feel young and look young, but the clock don't stop. Age is catching up with us. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, that whole conversation just kind of threw me off. And I get it. We watch a lot of TV nowadays, and relationships are not what they used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like we watch, it seems like on a lot of these TV shows, people will break up because of the most trivial things. I get that. They'll break up because you left the cap off the toothpaste. or it's just a swallow of milk in the refrigerator. Oh no, he got to go. I can't keep putting up with this. But that's what I'm saying. It just seems like relationships are not as popular as they once were. I get it. Things change. We're in a social media age where everything is televised, everything is filmed. I get it. Things, the world has to evolve. But what used to be good about relationships has taken a turn. To me, it has. That's why I wrote my book. What a man really wants to say about relationships, revised and unapologetic. Because I clearly thought that there were some things that need to be discussed that we overlook. Because here's the thing, people. If you and it depends on who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with a bunch of single folks that are not looking for relationships, you're going to get bad relationship advice. Let me tell you that again. If you surround yourself with folks who are not looking for a man or a woman, you are going to get bad relationship advice. Okay? They're not looking for no man, so they're all gonna be the,
all men are dogs and whoop-de-whoop.
You know what I'm saying? For the fellas, man.
Please, man, I ain't thinking about no chick. I can have a different chick every day. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody to be telling me where to go and how long to stay out.
I've been married 20 years. My wife don't tell me that. So all of these excuses that people use on why to stay single and, you know what I'm saying, why somebody else should stay single. Let me put this disclaimer out there. If you are looking, this any man or woman, If you are looking for a relationship and for a long lasting, healthy relationship, stop surrounding yourself with negative people. Stop listening to people that tell you relationships ain't shit or, blah, blah, blah. And, you know what I'm saying? A girl, all me and the dogs, and, they're going to cheat on you and they're going to beat on you and because that might have been their past relationships. Stop listening to these people. When you surround yourself with people, and I'm not saying if you think a couple is perfect, you're wrong. There's something wrong with you because not one couple out there in couple land is perfect. Okay. Now you might have some flaws that they don't, but they're going to have some flaws in other places. And you're not going to know about them unless you live with them. Just because you go out and you see somebody out in the town and they're, holding hands and wrapping their arms around and sipping champagne glasses like they do in the movies. You don't know what happens when they go home behind closed doors. So stop basing your relationship off of what you see out in public, because people are going to always put their good face on out in public. The thing about me and my wife is we too real. We ain't got no good face. So what you see is what you get. Not saying that we out in public just going ham on each other, but we will argue. Of course, we might say something that the other person don't like or don't agree with, because we're human. We're not perfect. If you read my book, you're going to know we're human and we're not perfect. But I will hope you would want to listen to someone who's not perfect, but are kicking you the truth. You dig? Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of fake people out there. And most of them are single. I'm not picking on single people, but this is a relationship podcast. My book is a relationship book. My goal is to get people together. You know what I'm saying? If possible, like I said, there's going to always be some people out there that just don't want they don't want nobody. They just want to be single. My mom was one of them. Rest in peace. She didn't want nobody until the day she died. She said, I don't want no man in my house trying to do what I can already do for myself. That was her thing. I get it. But everybody, so here's the thing. I'm just put this out there. If you are looking for a relationship, this is the podcast. If you are looking for a healthy relationship, this is the podcast. My book, What a Man Really Wants to Say About Relationships, is what you should be reading, because this podcast is not for people that's not looking for relationships. So I'm just going to put that out there right now. You listen to the wrong podcast if you want to listen to how to break up with somebody or or gossip about this person dressed corny. This is not a gossip line. Sit around and beat up men or women and talk about the bad things that men or women do. No, this is a podcast to try to put people together and have people stop fooling themselves and kidding themselves like dressing corny is a deal breaker at age 50. That's foolish. This is a real podcast. You know what I'm saying? All that foolishness, we're going to put it on forefront. We're going to put it on Front Street. Like I said, stop hanging out with people who give bad advice. If you're looking for a relationship, stop hanging around them negative Nancys. You see what I'm saying? So what's the moral of the story? What's the meat and potatoes of the story? Piggybacking off the 50-year-old lady on the radio to Mr. Fat Fingers, people stop making lame excuses as to why you can't date a person because he or she dressed corny, or they too short, they got a space in their teeth, or their eyes too big, just crazy stuff like that. Next thing you know, you're going to look around, you're going to be old, lonely, and miserable. You tell a joke, ain't nobody laughing because there's no one there. You fall down, bump your head, and pass out. You don't even have someone to come pick you up. But Mr. Corny Dresser, with all his nice qualities, he could have been the one to come pick you up. Miss Fat Fingers, with all her beauty and wonderful personality, could have been a soulmate to take you to the emergency room. Just having someone you can vent to when times are rough. And I'm talking about someone who really genuinely cares, and they'll make you some hot tea or a stiff drink when you need it. So here's the thing about humans. They'll quote every Bible chapter except Genesis when God created Adam and Eve. You think he did that for us to be alone in these streets? I'm not saying settle for just anybody. When we get to a certain age, it seems kind of silly to judge someone's attire and not have a relationship with that person because of it. There are some real deal breakers out there, people, but the ones I've been hearing lately clearly tells me relationship criteria has changed. I don't know, maybe because of social media or these reality shows where everybody is rich and perfect, but that ain't reality. Not really. Everybody over 30 ain't got no six pack of straight teeth. But will they take care of you when you're sick? Will they keep you company when you're not in the best mood? Those things. Like I said in this podcast is not for folks that want to be single. It's for those who are looking for a good soulmate, but clearly have some issues with finding them. You are listening to the Unapologetic Relationship Podcast with Jay Riggins, brought to you by the Podpire Network. I am the author of the amazing book, What a Man Really Wants to Say About Relationships, Revised and Unapologetic, which you can pick up on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's website, and also my own website. And be sure to check out this podcast every other Saturday, and it will be on all platforms you get your podcasts. And don't forget to check us out on Instagram as well. And those links, along with my website, will definitely be in the show notes. Until next time, stay unapologetically you.